So if you were gonna be like,
Oh god.
if you were gonna be like a 1960s superhero,
Uh-huh.
what would your name be?
Um, I hate it when you do this. I hate it so much. It's only funny when I do it. I don't know. Now I'm like Beat Girl.
Beat Girl. Oh, right. Oh, nice. Nice.
Come on.
Yeah. And in a kind of, uh, alternative music, like 1960s alternative music type,
Yeah.
like an underground music type, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a proto-punk.
Sorry, I'm like super, super proud of myself for coming up with that so quickly. What would yours be?
I've thought about this and,
Oh boy.
I think it would be, the New Brutalist.
That's the most you thing that I can come up with that's very clever though.
Thank you.
The new
Because,
brutalist.
because I am that arsehole is the name of my, favorite style of architecture from the 20th century.
Ugh. See, I love the idea of you being a 1960s superhero, just really tall and just all arms and legs, just being named the new brutalist and walking up like, "You alright?"
"You're right, love. You're right.
"You alright?"
I've I've come to free you. Can't resist. We'll have chippy tea after, won't we?" Anyway, welcome to In Orbit every Wednesday, athletes.
Get 2000 AD now. Get.
Borathang Earthlets, welcome to In Orbit every Wednesday. I am your host, Molch-R, and this is your host, KLO-E. And on this episode, we are talking about Grant Morrison and Steve Yeowell's superpowered superbrat Zenith, because after an absence from 2000 AD for many years, one of the characters from the series is returning in Red Dragon by Rob Williams, Patrick Goddard, and Steve
Yeah.
Yeowell. And that's this week in Prog
Yes.
2451. I'm very excited about this. But we thought, rather than necessarily, yeah, we'll get Rob on to, and maybe Paddy and Steve to talk about it.
Yes, please.
Um, but we thought we would go back to the source and talk about it, because this is a character that you've been wanting to talk about for some time. Let's
Yes,
be
it
brutally
sure
honest
is.
about it. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like it's more like, unfortunately, Zenith is more prescient than ever in, like,
Explain.
the worst way. So, Zenith is so much about celebrity, right?
Mm,
It's, this ostensibly kid, who has inherited these powers from his parents
mm,
and, has been turned celebrity, also pop star, all of these things. And he's just he's just a shit. It's what it is, and that's kinda what it boils down to, but it's this comic that exists in this perfect period, and the one thing that I come out of, reading it for the first time probably in, like, 10 years, by the way,
mm, mm,
come out of reading it being incredibly grateful that 2000 AD that was the publisher that snatched this up,
mm,
because um, Zenith is a comic that I think would be a very, very, very different story had it been published by, like, say, DC. Okay.
Oh,
If this had
without a doubt,
this had been a comic that had been snatched up during the British invasion period, then it would be a very different story because the violence that exists in Zenith as a comic
yeah. Mm,
serves such a necessary purpose for the story and for the impact of the story. Um, and if it had been dumbed down, I guess,
mm, mm,
or censored a little bit more, it wouldn't have the impact that it does. I also think that, just in general, uh, there's a lot of nitpicking that happens in Zenith that wouldn't exist without the voice that 2000 AD allowed, like, its creators at the time especially to give.
Mm,
I just I'm really grateful that it exists in the way that it does. It's good to take a moment, not even from a point of nostalgia, but from a point of, like, thank God this exists the way that it can, or the
mm,
way that it
mm.
could, I suppose. That this sort of thing was given a chance in an environment where it can breathe. Um, but I have so much to say about it. This is another episode where, like, I have so much to say about Zenith as an overall concept of a story that I'm like, my mouth is almost moving faster than my brain is, and vice versa. Like,
We,
it's
we,
too
we,
much.
we'll step back for a moment and just say that this series began in 1987.
Mhm,
The vast majority of it was in black and white, and it's roughly broken down into four phases.
mhm,
It's really the first proper calling card of Grant Morrison as a writer. He'd done bits and bobs, but this was a series that almost seems to come kind of fully formed into existence. Um, and I would posit that the it essentially he sets his stall out, but it also acts as a framework for the next, I mean, at least 10 years of his career.
oh god, yeah,
It
so
basically
much.
says, this is what I'm interested in doing. This is the kind of thing I'm reaching for. And you can't kind of analyze things like his work on the X-Men in the 2000s without also analyzing Zenith alongside it, because it's asking the same questions. It's doing the same kind of things to superheroes.
Oh god,
And
you can't read Multiversity,
well, exactly.
like, period.
Um, but they, also the filth, also
Yeah,
Animal
the
Man.
authors, the author.
It like I said, it sets his stall out for a big chunk of his career, and also it's notable. I'm going to stray into a little bit of controversial territory here.
Ooh.
Um, that it starts in 2000 AD, and that Grant's career starts at 2000 AD because, of course, Alan Moore, with whom Grant has had they are the kind of twin pulsar system that kind of attract and repels, particularly in terms of Grant's uh, work. Um, you kind of can't escape the gravity of Alan Moore in
Yeah,
many ways in British comics, but Grant, they have done their best to find a way to do that while still talking about some many of the things, and deconstructing and
yeah.
reconstructing the superhero genre. So, with that in mind, come back to the beginning of Zenith. Um, One of the things I always liked about this is how it is also in conversation with um, uh, music,
Oh, yeah. Like,
because
key point.
Zenith is a pop star. This came out in 1987, which was kind of the like when Stock Aitken and Waterman were at their absolute height, and you got these consciously invented supergroups, and
Mhm.
pop music was becoming not necessarily disposable, but certainly industrial
It's
in
pop
its.
will eat itself.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but the story is in conversation with the 1960s, which is what 1980s music was dealing with, and also with the 1940s, which was the great political, cultural, economic, and social cataclysm that still has such a stranglehold on the British psyche. And then you're
Mhm.
taking the superhero, which is such an American and
Yes.
such an immigrant genre as well,
Mhm.
and you're mixing them all together. And while I'm rabbiting on here, but sorry, not sorry. while yes, Grant, much of Grant's work owes stuff to Alan Moore, Grant is doing something unusual in that he's analyzing culture through
Yes.
various different mashing different mediums and genres together. Anyway,
Yes.
end of lecture.
And it's all kind of in tune with
Mm.
what was happening in comics during that period
Mm.
overall, like as a big old umbrella. Because for all intents and purposes, uh, the late 80s in particular, I shall be slightly vulgar about this because it is the only way that I can possibly think about it. It was everybody, who was growing up on comics, seeking them out once again because culture is nothing but an endless Ouroboros, just one big cycle, and it's people coming back to comics going, "I want realism. I
Mm.
want to see realism in my comics," and just having an absolute circle jerk about it. And so while everybody's sitting there polishing one off to things like Watchmen and things like that, then you get something like Zenith,
Mm.
which is fits into that, like, it does fit into that category. Into the we want realism, we wanna see real life, but also not too much real life that it's a slice of life. We don't want kitchen sink drama, we want realism, it needs to be gritty because my life is so gritty because I'm in my 20s and, like I'm sorry, it's what it is.
What a great noise you were making. It's like two-tone noise there. Continue.
But but Zenith does it in such a way that it is somehow exactly what people were waffling on about forever,
Mm.
and is also a total critique of it. It exists in 2 spaces and kind of cancel each other out in a way that rarely works, I think, in storytelling, and don't get me wrong, it ticks every Grant Morrison box, right? It's self-referential, it's music like, musically referenced, it's, multiverses, it's not everything is black and white, morality is a gray area sort of thing, but it's in a way it critiques and satirizes culture in such a way that it's almost timeless.
Mm. Mm.
And that's really unfortunate. It kinda bums me out to read Zenith right now because it's the, "Oh, that's right, celebrity can be for anyone, even the worst of us." Even the worst of us that's somehow also the best of us? Is that the best we can do? Are they actually the best of it? Like, Zenith is really complicated. Like,
It is.
it's such a good such a good strip. But
Mm.
it is, exhausting to
Uh,
revisit.
very much so, and even for 2000 AD standards, it's hyper compressed.
Yes. Yeah.
So, each episode, particularly when you start getting into, phase 2,
Mhm.
um, e every episode, which is only, what, 5 or 6 pages,
Yeah.
is a leap. It's
Yeah.
leaping forward and leaping forward and leaping, and it insists that you're thinking quite deeply about what been
Mhm.
particularly as so much of the story is actually told in, uh, either epistle or hindsight.
Mhm.
So you've got to pay attention to what the narration boxes are saying because different
Yeah.
people are talking and they're saying different things, and they're all unreliable narrators.
Yeah.
Um, so on the surface, it's a critique of superheroes, absolutely. It's a
Mhm.
critique of music industry, absolutely. But also for me, what I enjoy and what makes it still, as you say, a difficult read now is that the central metaphor, as far as I'm concerned, is the infection in the blood
Mhm.
and the use of the Nazis, and one can see the entire story as being about the Nazism and the far right and fascism has always been there in the blood,
Yeah.
and it's waiting for its opportunity to come. It's not an aberration. It's not something that goes away. It's always there under the surface. And so when Zenith finds out effectively his origin story, his true origin story, and
Yeah.
what the intention for him is, um, it's shocking to him.
Mhm.
And it's all, and he realizes actually, he's got to find himself. He can't just be what other people want him to be. And so I mean, do you feel that um, Grant bought into the notion of the superhero as a fascist cultural symbol? Now, I know this is an entire other discussion, and many people have very, very strong opinions about this.
Like,
Um,
how much time you
but,
got? Like,
well, yeah, exactly. But one of the things is always, well, the superhero is a fascist because it's all, it's about the Nietzschean Ubermensch kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, did Grant buy into that, or did they attempt to subvert that?
I think that they bought into it by trying to subvert it.
Right. Okay.
I
Mm.
think that again, it's a series where I feel like no matter what questions you ask around it, the answer is going to be yes. Like, you give 2 options and the answer is "Yep,"
Yeah.
because it's I think that it is a successful subversion of it. I also think that it, like, in being as subversive to the genre as it also, almost bolsters it and
Okay.
and 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 almost apologizes for it in a weird way, which again is an extremely Morrison move. Like, I feel you get that in quite a few of the strips. It's kind of you're so busy looking at like, look, it's a very, look over there thing,
Mm.
because there's 10 other pieces of the puzzle that are also happening. So while you get this I don't Mike, it's too much. Like, it feels like my head's exploding.
Right.
So it
We went over on last week's episode, so we need to keep this to a tight
Yeah,
tight
I
half
know.
an hour.
Yeah, I know. It's
Sorry,
I
I
think
just
I
said
think
tight half an hour or so.
or so. That's the tagline of the podcast, honestly. Yeah,
Continue.
I think that Morrison, they have always they have always tried to subvert the norm when it
Mm.
comes to their work on superheroes. I also think that because they also add, like, he adds so many elements to it that it almost loops back around, but then that in of itself is a really cerebral process, right?
Mm.
Because that
Mm.
makes you think like, "Okay, if I bought into this and this is meant to be a satire or a subversion, but it's also true, then what do I actually like, how do I actually feel about this being presented in the way that it is?" It's a lot of thinking, like
Yeah. No, thank you. Well, I mean, we'll switch then to something that doesn't really need an awful lot of thinking about, which is Steve Yeowell's artwork.
Oh,
And I would, it, you know what? This is a hill I would die on.
okay.
Zenith would not work without Steve Yeowell.
Oh, I completely agree with you.
I don't think there's another artist in existence who would have turned in a job that so perfectly complemented Grant's writing, but did its own thing to the point that I can't imagine anyone else having done it. And it's so wonderful that Steve's involved in the Red Dragon series, and
Mhm.
he's doing the flashbacks, because Red Dragon was, involved
Yeah.
in Cloud9, which was this
Yeah,
superhero
yeah,
team that was Zenith's parents.
yeah.
Um, so it makes sense for him to do that, and that's fantastic. But
I was so
I,
happy
I
to see him coming back for the
oh
Red
yeah,
Dragon
yeah,
thing.
no, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
especially doing the flashback bits, I'm like, that's a bit of genius.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
it's nice to see people getting a chance to revisit that kind of work and
yeah, yeah.
knocking it out of the park.
I
Like
and I really recommend it. Anybody who's not read Zenith, go and get the collections on the 2000 AD app. I think the hardcovers are
Mhm.
still in print. But there's a moment, and I've got it open on my tablet just here. There's a moment in I think phase two. Yeah. where Peter St. John, who's this kind of becomes this politician character, and is allied to Zenith. There's this nightmare, and it's not a nightmare. It's a visitation.
Mhm.
And there's this page. We talked last week about scale and how Ian Colbard just magically does scale.
Mhm.
Steve Yeowell does that as well in Zenith. And there's this page where St. John is a tiny figure, almost in like a fisheye lens, and the sun is black. And this is a black and white strip. So actually rendering a black object in a black and white strip that's meant to be emitting light
Mhm.
is a hard thing. Um, but there's these tendrils coming out of it, and then you switch to the next page, and again, it's a character I can't explain without doing spoilers. But she seems to be crackling with energy,
Mhm.
and he manages to render that in almost an abstract way, but you can feel it coming off of her.
It's very tactile.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
incredibly so. And he does this fantastic use of electrotone, which for me evokes things like a Tomo. The kind of the way that manga
Yeah.
and whatnot have used that.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, that's just like
It's meant
citing
to
bloody,
it's meant to
bloody
show
Watchmen.
intensity.
You what?
It's meant to show intensity, draw
Yeah,
focus.
exactly, exactly. And there's something great about it. He does. He renders. He managed to render throughout all the books Zenith as a child.
Mhm.
And that's really hard to do because
Mm.
I think, as you say, it wouldn't work in American comics because there would be this tendency to want to make him heroic, and he's not. He's meant to be this broken,
Yeah.
lonely, scared little boy who also happens to be a sex symbol, and all the arrogance that he has in all the other moments. As soon as threat rears its head, he gets scared because he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in many ways, the story of Zenith is just this teenage boy basically going, I've worked out what to do.
Yeah. It's, yeah. Part of the and especially that bit there that you're
Mm,
talking about, um, like, is part of what makes, reading Zenith now in particular uh really bizarre, because again, we're in the
mm,
middle of a culture cycle, right? So we're about on track for the 30-year culture cycle. So getting to read Zenith and seeing things like that rendered in a comic from the late 80s, and then you look at what is considered celebrity now, and
mm,
kids
mm.
and teens now given celebrity status on, for doing TikToks and reels and things on the internet, and and then are basically asked for, like, opinions on things that they probably have no, like, business interacting with,
Mm,
and yeah, it's very bizarre reading Zenith now, because it plays the same and also in a different way, because that kind the hubris of the character, but also the fear that
mm,
the fear instilled in that character plays differently
yeah.
to kind of how that same thing exists
Mm.
now.
And also as you say, it is a deeper metaphor as well now because at the time of the 1980s, celebrity didn't necessarily have the political impact that
Yeah,
it does now. Um, and it was still very much the days of if a pop star said anything political, then they'd be slapped down immediately for moving out of their lane.
yeah,
Whereas now you can become. I am going to allude to an individual rather than name them directly for legal reasons. You can be a you know a jolly TikToker or on Instagram Reels talking about, what makes the proper fried breakfast for a certain part of the world, and then
Mhm.
you're coming out with some really quite unpleasant opinions, and people pay attention to it because you have this platform where you've been talking about, you know, breakfast.
Yeah,
Um,
it is it just popped into my head, but now I'm just sad, is, like, reading Zenith right now is even further of a reminder that we are all just waiting for somebody that we think is better than us to save us. And we're all just people.
well, it's so it's a desire for Leviathan.
Mhm,
Um, so going all the way back to John Milton, um, and Thomas Hobbes.
mhm,
So Paradise Lost and Leviathan, which are two books which are in conversation with each other in the 17th century, because it's always about the 17th century with you, Michael. Um, but Leviathan was this yearning for just a strong man to come and
mhm.
save us because the problems are too great, and someone just come and sort them out. And it's a lullaby. It's a way of making you fall asleep, because if somebody has the power to sort it all out, they have the power to do whatever they want, and you don't want somebody that has the power to do whatever they want. And so
Mhm.
that's why, for me, Zenith is such a British reaction to the superhero.
Yeah.
Not necessarily saying that the superhero is in of itself a fascist concept.
Mhm.
It's just saying that's what it can be used as.
Yeah. It has the potential. It easily has the potential.
Yeah. Which, of course, is what those who wish to manipulate Zenith know
Mhm.
and they want to use him to be able to bring about effectively the end of the world.
Yeah.
But Zenith's reaction to that is, well, I don't want to bring about the end of the world. I want to make pop music and drink
The
and
groovy things,
stick
yes.
around. So actually, the very weaknesses that one could identify as, oh, he's vacuous, he doesn't really care about anything. Actually, those are his strengths
Mhm.
because he's not swayed by these people with their big ideas and their ideology. Um, and so when he grows up and becomes his own man, that's when he wins.
Yeah.
Um, and I can't think of for a superhero comic. I can't think of a more profound message than that for now. Um, from the sublime to the artistic. Oh, that was an awful segue, Michael. I need to work on those. One thing I do want to mention is that in book 4, bear in mind this was well into the 90s by now.
You
Um,
mean when Zenith is in his baggy era?
yes, yeah, which is fantastic. Which is just fantastic. It's in color. And
Mhm.
it's Gina Hart, who we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I think, when talking about John Hicklinton's work for the Judge Dredd magazine. And a lot of people bemoan this phase because the rest of it was in black and white, and then
Mhm.
it goes into color. And for me, actually, not only does that work, it helps reinforce the metaphors
Ooh.
because it's going from the black and white of the 1980s,
Mhm.
the Thatcher, the age of Thatcher, where everything was black and white, um, to something more psychedelic. And for me, that's the 90s. That's that kind of all of a
Yeah.
sudden the world opening up a little bit and some light coming in and lots of different viewpoints suddenly emerging. Um, but as it then gets to uh, I never know how to pronounce it. Is it Ilagoi? Eloi Goi? Ilagor?
I just wanna hear you keep trying.
We've returned to incoherent mumbling or
Yeah.
incoherent noise. The baddies, the Cthulhu, the
Yeah.
big Cthulhu. That's basic words. Which these um,
Eldritch horrors.
eldritch horrors. Thank you. Um, when they walk in, they're all in black and white.
Mhm.
Like, the main guy's just in a black suit. It's just a slab of black. Peter St. John is also in a normal suit, so he's a slab of black. So like the artwork is alluding to all the things that are happening as well. But it's once you start getting what I love about the later book is it's being told by basically one of the creator of these superheroes,
Mhm.
but it's being told in hindsight as he is being de-aged by these beings that he has unleashed on the world. And there's this wonderful thing of as he uh as he de-ages, as time moves forward, he de-ages, his language changes in
Mhm.
the way that he's describing things, all the way to right at the end, where basically he becomes a child and goes to bed because he's tired.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, that's a very Grant Morrison concept.
Oh, extremely. Yeah, playing with time, playing with, like, the effectiveness of time, all of
Mm.
that. It works so well, but, like, it's such a good metaphor.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
we can sit here and, like, I can sit here and wax on about, like, "Ugh, who ticks every box," all this stuff, but God, it's good. It
Mm,
works.
mm.
It does work. And I know people kind of bemoan book 4, but, I mean, I think it ties things off really nicely.
It does, and coming back to the whole thing about Leviathan, I'm just going to hold my tablet up to the screen, and it's that moment when the eldritch horrors of
Yeah.
believe that they've won, and it just says, amidst a scene of utter devastation, there's no humans left, the world is destroyed, and it's just one of them says, "It doesn't matter, it's all over now, it's all ours. Look, it's all ours." The proper kind of
Mhm.
look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair
Yeah.
kind of moment, and the metaphor is revealed that all they will ever bring is total destruction because that's all they truly believe in. But with Zenith, I think it's not an exaggeration to say I think it's the unappreciated and often ignored or forgotten or never known about
Overlooked.
pillar of
Mhm.
superhero stories, and I even within Grant's own career, it's ignored.
Yeah, very largely, especially by American audiences.
Yeah, yeah. That's undoubtedly because it was out of print for so long, so they've not discovered it. But certainly, if anyone has any love for any of Grant's other work, whether it's the mainstream superhero stuff or the kind of creator owned stuff,
Mhm.
you've got to read Zenith
Yes.
because it's the
It's a
wellspring.
must.
It's where it all comes from, and um, those 4 books are just fantastic. So yeah, I go on.
Kind of to tie off that point, it's pretty awesome to see Zenith making a little bit of a comeback, and I'm
Mm,
particularly glad everybody knows, like, both of our shared love of Rob Williams's writing, but just after this first installation of things, I'm so excited to see it come back because just based off of this, he is gonna have a whale of a time. Like, he's just having fun, and it's not even really started yet,
yeah,
you
and
know?
and particularly because I mean, just occasionally I joke about the Welsh mafia at 2000 AD because there's obviously Rob, there's Mike Collins, there's Dylan Teague,
Mhm.
there's Paddy Goddard, etc., etc., etc. Um, and Red Dragon is this Welsh superhero from the original Zenith.
You don't say. The Red
Yeah,
Dragon.
and considering how much I butchered the name of uh, the actor who's going to be playing Rogue Trooper to the point where I'm not even going to reattempt it. Absolutely showed my ass on one of our most popular videos this
Yeah.
year. Thousands of people saw that.
Killing it.
I apologize to him unreservedly. But yes, Red Dragon's basically this hero who it was fantastic. It was the Rocky moment. It was like, even Rocky had a montage. That kind of, I'm getting back in training. It was like this alcoholic who'd been famous in the 1960s, but kind of gone off the boil. And they get him back up and running, and he goes up against Masterman, which is the Nazi super soldier that's been revived, and he lasts about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most heartbreaking moments in 2080 history. After all of that, after this redemption arc, boom, just immediately
Laid out.
destroyed. So it's going to be interesting to see what Rob and Paddy and Steve have got in store for him. So yeah, so Prog 2451, which is out this week, first episode of Red Dragon. But do yourself a massive favor. Go onto the 2000 app or the web shop and get yourself phases 1 to 4 of the original Zenith, Grant Morrison and
Just
Steve
do
Yeowell.
it.
Your life will be just better as a result.
Also worse. Keeping in theme, actually.
But you will understand what we've been rabbiting on about for the last half an hour. But yes, we shall be back in 7 days' time for more from the Galaxy's Greatest Podcast. Thank you very much for sticking around. Thank you for all the wonderful feedback. You know what? Not just in comments and by email, but also in person. Like people I know just keep going. I really love the podcast. I really enjoy it. So thank you very much indeed for that. It makes it all worthwhile. To remind you that on the 15th and 16th of November, our very own Chloe Mayville will be zipping over the Atlantic to make a personal appearance at Thought Bubble, where we will be doing lots of podcasting and talking. And you can basically see. You can basically see Lanky and the Gremlin, which I think is our superhero team name.
Yeah.
Lanky and the Gremlin.
I love it. I'm gonna see. Have I told you yet my goal of seeing how many British people I can make uncomfortable with hugs? Y'all don't like to hug. Y'all don't like hugging.
It's just you never know if somebody's a hugger or not, and it's kind of And also, I've got a bad back. I've got to come down a long way to hug anybody.
Every time I try to, like, any 2000 AD event that I go to or work or anything, and I try to hug all of the crew while we're all leaving and everything, and every single time I get the anti-hug. I call it the anti-hug because it's the hover hands fingertip tap.
That's we call that the Oliver Pickles.
That is the Oliver Pickles.
Who's just so people know, he's one of the fantastic senior editors, graphic novel editors at 2000 AD, and I might add, a friend of mine for over 20 years. So just before anybody thinks I'm being rude about it, I am, but
Oliver's lovely, but it's true. Like, he actively has avoided me in the past. So get ready.
Oh dear, wonderful. Right, we shall see you in 7 days' time, Earthlets. In the meantime, I've been your host, Molch-R. This has been your host, Chloe. We are overjoyed to have brought you into the orbit of Zenith, and we shall see you next time. Until then, splendid Verthrig.
See you next week.
Get 2000 AD now. Get 2000.
Well, thanks for joining us on In Orbit every Wednesday, Earthlets. Make sure you like and subscribe and go along to 2000 AD, where you'll be able to subscribe to 2000 AD and the Judge Dredd magazine. Sign up to our newsletter and you'll get hundreds of pages of free comics to download. And download the app for your Apple and Android devices. Now, don't forget, Earthlets, this is the 2000 AD universe. We just live in it.